What if I told you that the life you've been living is already coming to an end? Not because of chance, not because someone else decided it, but because you are no longer the person who created it. For too long, you may have identified with limitation, uncertainty, fear, or lack. You may have believed that your circumstances defined your future, that your past determined your destiny, or that abundance was reserved for someone else. But none of those beliefs were ever permanent. They were only temporary states of consciousness, states that can be left behind the moment you choose something greater. Every remarkable transformation begins with one invisible decision: the decision to stop identifying with the old self and to fully embrace the person you are becoming. The moment that decision is made, your inner world begins to shift. And when your inner world changes, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Today, you are not simply listening to another motivational message. You are standing at the threshold of a new chapter. This is the moment to release old stories, old fears, old limitations, and every belief that has kept you living beneath your true potential. Prepare yourself, because the version of you that struggled, doubted, and settled for less is coming to an end. A new reality is waiting, not somewhere in the future, but within you, ready to be accepted right now. Listen with an open mind, receive these words deeply, and allow yourself to step into the abundant life that has always been available to you. Every new beginning requires an ending. Before a seed becomes a mighty tree, its outer shell must break apart. Before the sunrise fills the sky with light, the darkness of night must give way. In the same way, before you can experience the abundant life you desire, the old version of yourself must be released. This is not about changing your name, your location, or even your circumstances. It is about changing the identity you have accepted within. The person who has struggled, doubted, feared, and settled for less does not have to accompany you into your future. That version of you has served its purpose, and now it is time to let it go. Many people unknowingly carry yesterday into today. They wake up remembering old disappointments, old failures, old mistakes, and old limitations. They replay conversations that hurt them, relive moments that discouraged them, and continue telling themselves the same story they have repeated for years. Without realizing it, they remain emotionally connected to a version of themselves that no longer serves them. They believe they are being realistic, but in truth, they are simply remaining loyal to an identity that keeps producing the same experiences. The life you experience is deeply connected to the person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, life continues presenting situations that seem to confirm that belief. If you identify as someone who is unlucky, overlooked, or unworthy, your world begins reflecting those assumptions in countless ways. It is not because life is against you. It is because your consciousness faithfully expresses the identity you continually accept as true. The beautiful truth is that your identity is not fixed. It is not written in stone. It is a choice you make, consciously or unconsciously, every single day. You are never required to carry an old version of yourself into a new chapter of life. The moment you decide that the old story is finished, you begin creating space for a completely different experience. Imagine closing a book after reading the final page. You do not continue reading the same chapter expecting a different ending. You simply begin a new book. Your life works in much the same way. The past has no creative power unless you continue reopening it in your mind. Every time you define yourself by what happened yesterday, you invite yesterday to become tomorrow. But the moment you stop identifying with those old experiences, they begin to lose their influence over your future. This is why forgiveness is so powerful. It is not only about forgiving others, It is about releasing yourself from the identity created by painful experiences. Perhaps you once believed you were not good enough because of rejection. Perhaps failure convinced you that success was impossible. Perhaps difficult circumstances made you feel powerless. None of those experiences define who you truly are unless you continue giving them permission to do so. They were events, not your identity. Today, choose differently. Stop introducing yourself to life through your past. Stop measuring your future by your previous experiences. Instead, begin seeing yourself as someone who is already worthy, already capable, already blessed, and already prepared for greater things. Allow that new identity to become more familiar than the old one. You may notice that your circumstances do not change immediately, and that is perfectly natural. The old reflection may linger for a while because it is responding to previous assumptions. Do not let that discourage you. Continue identifying with the person you are becoming instead of the person you have been. Every time you choose confidence over fear, abundance over lack, and faith over doubt, you strengthen your new identity. Remember, your future is not waiting for a better version of the world. It is waiting for a better version of you. The old identity has completed its journey. It has taught you what it needed to teach you. Now release it with gratitude, not regret. Leave behind every belief that tells you that you are limited, unworthy, or destined to repeat the past. Your old life ends the moment you stop calling it your identity. From that moment forward, you are free to become the person who naturally lives in peace, joy, success, love, and abundance. Let the old self fade away and welcome the new with complete confidence, because the abundant life you seek begins with the abundant person you choose to become. When most people hear the word hers abundances, they immediately think of money, possessions, success, or material achievements. They imagine a larger home, a growing bank account, a thriving career, or the freedom to live without financial worry. While these things can certainly be expressions of abundance, they are not its source. True abundance is not something that begins in the world around you. It begins in the world within you. Long before abundance appears in your hands, it must first exist in your heart, your mind, and your awareness. The greatest misunderstanding is believing that abundance is something you must chase. This belief causes people to spend their lives running after opportunities, constantly feeling that what they desire is just beyond their reach. They tell themselves, when I earn more, I'll finally feel secure. When I achieve success, I'll finally feel confident. When I receive recognition, I'll finally feel worthy. But this way of thinking places abundance in the future, making it forever seem distant. The more you chase it, the more you unconsciously affirm that you do not already possess it. Real abundance is a state of being. It is the quiet confidence that says, I already have everything within me to create the life I desire. It is the deep knowing that your value does not increase because of what you own, nor does it decrease because of temporary circumstances. When you begin living from this understanding, something remarkable happens. You stop acting from desperation and start acting from certainty. You no longer make decisions based on fear of loss, but from confidence in endless possibility. Consider a spring of fresh water hidden beneath the earth. The water does not depend on the weather above the ground. Even during dry seasons, the source continues to flow. In the same way, your abundance is an inner source. Circumstances may change, economies may shift, and challenges may arise, but the well within you remains untouched. When you recognize this truth, you stop allowing temporary conditions to determine your sense of security. Instead, you remain connected to the limitless source that exists within your own consciousness. Many people unknowingly live from a mindset of lack. They constantly notice what is missing. They compare themselves to others, focus on unpaid bills instead of opportunities, dwell on closed doors instead of open ones, and think about what they cannot do rather than what is possible. This constant attention to lack strengthens the feeling of limitation. It is not that life refuses to bless them. It is that their awareness remains fixed on scarcity. Whatever consistently occupies your attention begins to shape your experience. The moment you choose to cultivate the feeling of abundance, your perspective begins to change. Gratitude becomes natural. You start recognizing blessings that were always present, but previously overlooked. You appreciate your abilities, your experiences, your relationships, and the opportunities already surrounding you. This shift is not pretending that challenges do not exist. It is choosing to place greater attention on possibility than on limitation. As your awareness changes, your expectations change, and eventually your experiences begin to reflect that new inner state. Abundance also means trusting that there is always more than enough, more opportunities to grow, more ideas to create, more love to experience, more success to achieve. When you truly accept this, jealousy fades because you no longer believe someone else's success diminishes your own possibilities. Fear begins to disappear because you understand that life is not limited to a fixed supply of blessings. There is no competition for what is already meant for you. Your path is unique, and your abundance is not dependent on another person's journey. The person who lives in abundance speaks differently as well. Instead of saying, "Nothing ever works out for me," they begin saying, "Everything is working together for my highest good." Instead of thinking, "I can't afford this," they ask, "How can I expand into this opportunity?" Instead of expecting disappointment, they quietly anticipate unexpected blessings. These may seem like small changes in language, but they represent profound changes in consciousness. Words reveal the state from which you are living. Never forget that abundance is first an inner experience before it becomes an outer reality. The wealth you seek, the peace you desire, the opportunities you dream about, and the success you envision all begin with the person you choose to be within. When you cultivate the feeling of already being blessed, already being provided for, and already being enough, the world begins to respond in remarkable ways. Doors open, ideas emerge, relationships flourish, and opportunities appear, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. So stop searching for abundance as though it exists somewhere outside of you. Go within. Nurture the state of fullness, gratitude, confidence, and expectation. Live each day from the awareness that you are already connected to an unlimited source. The moment you realize that abundance begins within, you will discover that the outer world has been waiting all along to reflect the richness you have finally accepted inside yourself. One of the greatest shifts you can make is to stop living as though your dreams are somewhere far ahead of you and begin living as though they are already a part of your reality. Most people spend their lives moving toward their desires. They believe happiness is waiting at the finish line, peace will arrive after the struggle, and abundance will come someday in the future. As a result, they constantly think from a place of wanting rather than having. They hope, they wish, they wait, but they rarely embody the feeling that their desire has already been fulfilled. Yet the life you long for does not begin when you reach it outwardly. It begins the moment you accept it inwardly. Living from the end means adopting the mindset, emotions, and certainty of the person who already possesses what you desire. Instead of asking, "How can I make this happen?" begin asking, "Who would I be if this were already true?" If your dream had already become your reality, how would you think? How would you speak? How would you carry yourself? How would you respond to life's challenges? These questions shift your attention away from chasing results and toward becoming the version of yourself for whom those results are natural. Imagine an actor preparing for a role. Before stepping onto the stage, they immerse themselves in the character. They study the character's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors until they begin to think and respond naturally from that identity. In the same way, you are invited to step into the identity of the person you desire to become. Do not wait until success arrives before feeling successful. Do not wait until love appears before feeling loved. Do not wait until abundance is visible before feeling abundant. The feeling comes first, and the visible evidence follows. Many people unknowingly delay their own transformation because they keep checking the outside world for confirmation. They wake up each morning looking for signs that something has changed. If circumstances remain the same, they quickly fall back into doubt, fear, and discouragement. But every time they return to those old emotions, they also return to the old state of consciousness that created the previous reality. They become trapped in a cycle of waiting because they allow appearances to dictate their inner experience. Living from the end requires faith in the unseen. It asks you to remain loyal to your new identity even when your senses tell you otherwise. This does not mean denying reality or pretending challenges do not exist. It means recognizing that your current circumstances are temporary reflections of past assumptions, while your future is being shaped by the assumptions you choose today. The moment you stop reacting to appearances and begin responding from your desired state, you plant the seeds of a completely new experience. There will be moments when doubt tries to return. The mind may whisper that nothing is changing, that your dream is too far away, or that your circumstances are too difficult. In those moments, remember that every lasting transformation begins invisibly. A seed buried beneath the soil shows no immediate evidence of growth, yet beneath the surface life is already unfolding. In the same way, every time you return to the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you strengthen the unseen foundation upon which your future is being built. Living from the end also changes the way you respond to everyday life. Instead of reacting with fear, you choose confidence. Instead of speaking about lack, you speak with gratitude. Instead of expecting disappointment, you quietly expect good things to unfold. These are not empty positive thoughts, they are expressions of a new identity. As this identity becomes more familiar, it begins influencing every decision you make, every opportunity you recognize, and every interaction you have. Do not become discouraged if the outer world takes time to catch up. The visible reality always follows the invisible state. Your responsibility is not to force results, but to remain faithful to the person you have chosen to become. Continue thinking from the end, feeling from the end, and living from the end. Let your imagination become more convincing than your circumstances, and let your inner certainty become stronger than temporary appearances. Your future is not created by endlessly moving toward your dream. It is created by becoming the person who already lives it. The moment you embrace that identity, you stop living in expectation of abundance and begin living in the experience of it. And when you consistently live from the end, life begins arranging itself to match the reality you have already accepted within. Once you have chosen a new identity and accepted the reality you desire within yourself, there is one final step that many people find surprisingly difficult: letting go. It is easy to imagine a better life for a few moments, but it is much harder to stop worrying about when it will happen or how it will come to pass. The mind naturally wants proof. It wants visible evidence that everything is unfolding exactly as planned. But true faith is not built upon what the eyes can see. It is built upon quiet certainty, even when nothing appears to have changed. The unseen process is always at work, whether you recognize it or not. Your role is not to control every detail, but to trust that what has been accepted within is already moving toward expression. Think of a farmer who plants a seed in fertile soil. After placing the seed into the ground, the farmer does not dig it up every morning to check if it has started growing. He understands that growth happens beneath the surface long before it becomes visible. Instead of interfering with the process, he waters the soil, protects it, and patiently allows nature to do what it was designed to do. Your desires work in exactly the same way. Once the seed of a new assumption has been planted in your consciousness, it begins growing in ways your physical senses cannot yet perceive. Constant doubt and impatience are like digging up the seed before it has a chance to take root. Many people delay their own breakthroughs because they continually question whether their efforts are working. They imagine a new reality for a moment, then immediately return to worrying, what if it never happens? They spend their days searching for signs, measuring progress, and allowing every temporary circumstance to determine their emotional state. In doing so, they repeatedly abandon the new state they had chosen. Instead of nurturing the seed with confidence, they replace it with uncertainty. The result is not a lack of possibility, but a lack of persistence. Trusting the unseen process means refusing to let appearances dictate your faith. There may be days when nothing seems different. Old circumstances may still surround you. Familiar challenges may continue to appear. Yet these are often the final echoes of previous assumptions, not indicators of your future. The visible world always lags behind the invisible transformation taking place within. If you remain faithful to your new state, the reflection will eventually catch up. Letting go also means releasing the need to figure out every step. The human mind constantly asks, how will this happen? Who will make it happen? When will it happen? But these questions often arise from fear rather than trust. When you become obsessed with the how, you limit possibilities to what your current understanding can imagine. Life, however, has countless ways of arranging circumstances beyond your present awareness. Opportunities can appear unexpectedly. Relationships can shift overnight. Doors you never knew existed can suddenly open. The unseen process is far more creative than the logical mind. This is why inner peace becomes so important. Peace is not passive, it is a sign of confidence. It is the quiet assurance that what you have accepted inwardly is already taking shape. Instead of chasing results, you begin expecting them. Instead of living in anxiety, you rest in certainty. Every day you choose trust over fear, you strengthen the foundation of your new reality. Gratitude is another powerful expression of trust. When you feel thankful before your desire becomes visible, you are declaring that you already believe it is yours. Gratitude shifts your attention away from what seems to be missing and toward the abundance that is already unfolding. It aligns your heart with expectation rather than doubt. A grateful mind naturally remains open to receiving. Remember that every great transformation follows an invisible beginning. The tallest tree once existed as an unseen seed. The strongest river began as a small spring. Every masterpiece started as an idea no one else could see. In the same way, your abundant future begins within your consciousness before it appears in your circumstances. Do not measure progress by appearances alone. Measure it by the peace, confidence, and certainty growing within you. So plant the seed of your new identity, nourish it with faith, and then release your need to control the outcome. Trust that every unseen movement is bringing you closer to the life you have already accepted as yours. When you let go of fear and embrace unwavering trust, you allow the unseen process to unfold naturally. And in its perfect time, what was once invisible will become unmistakably visible, proving that what is first created within can never remain hidden forever. Here's the final topic of your speech in approximately as 500 words, written in a flowing, inspirational style consistent with the previous sections. There comes a moment when you must stop preparing for a new life and begin living as though it has already arrived. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect circumstance before they fully embrace the future they desire. They tell themselves, when everything changes, then I'll believe. But true transformation works in the opposite direction. You believe first, and then everything changes. The doorway to your new reality does not open because the world gives you permission. It opens because you decide to step through it with unwavering certainty. Certainty is one of the most powerful forces you can cultivate. It is not loud or forceful. It does not need constant reassurance. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. A person who is certain does not spend every day wondering whether their future will improve. They carry an inner conviction that what they have accepted within is already unfolding. Even when circumstances appear unchanged, they remain calm because they understand that appearances are temporary while consciousness is creative. They know that today's reality is simply catching up with yesterday's assumptions, and tomorrow's reality is already being shaped by the beliefs they choose today. Welcoming your new reality begins by releasing the habit of identifying with the old one. Stop introducing yourself through past failures, disappointments, or limitations. Those experiences may have been chapters in your story, but they are not the title of your life. Every morning presents a new opportunity to decide who you are. You can continue carrying the weight of an identity built on fear, or you can consciously choose the identity of someone who expects abundance, peace, love, and success as natural parts of life. The way you move through each day reveals the reality you have accepted. If you believe blessings are coming, you walk differently. You speak differently. You make decisions from confidence instead of fear. You become less concerned with proving yourself because you already know your worth. You stop chasing validation because your confidence comes from within. This quiet assurance changes the energy you bring into every conversation, every opportunity, and every challenge. People notice it. Circumstances respond to it. Life begins reflecting the certainty you consistently embody. This does not mean every day will feel perfect. There may still be moments when old thoughts attempt to return. Familiar fears may whisper that nothing has changed. In those moments, remember that certainty is a choice, not a feeling that depends on circumstances. Continue returning to the vision of your fulfilled life. Continue speaking to yourself as the person you have chosen to become. Every time you reject an old limitation and embrace a new possibility, you strengthen the foundation of your new reality. One of the greatest expressions of certainty is expectation. Expect good things without forcing them. Expect opportunities without anxiety. Expect meaningful relationships without desperation. Expect abundance without constantly wondering when it will appear. Healthy expectation is not wishful thinking. It is quiet confidence that life is responding to the state you now occupy. It allows you to live with peace instead of pressure, with hope instead of fear, and with gratitude instead of lack. Remember that abundance is not merely receiving more, it is becoming more. It is becoming more aware of your inner power, more grateful for each moment, more confident in your purpose, and more aligned with the highest version of yourself. As this transformation continues within, the outer world naturally begins to rearrange itself. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open. Unexpected ideas emerge. New relationships form. Resources appear at the right time. What once felt impossible gradually becomes your normal experience because your consciousness has accepted it as natural. Today, make a final decision. Leave behind every belief that belongs to your old life. Refuse to measure your future by your past. Stand firmly in the identity of someone who already lives in abundance, joy, peace, and fulfillment. Let certainty become stronger than doubt, and let faith become louder than fear. Your old life has served its purpose. It has prepared you for this moment. Now welcome your new reality with confidence. Walk into each day expecting the best, speaking life over your future, and trusting that every unseen movement is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. The abundant life you have imagined is no longer a distant dream. It begins the moment you accept it as your present reality, and from that moment forward, the world begins reflecting the greatness you have chosen to live. As we reach the end of this message, remember one simple truth. Your new life does not begin when circumstances change. It begins when you do. The life you have been longing for has never been separated from you by time, distance, or luck. It has only been waiting for you to become the version of yourself who naturally lives it. The moment you release old assumptions, old fears, and old limitations, you create space for something far greater to enter your experience. Do not return to the old story simply because familiar circumstances try to convince you that nothing has changed. Every lasting transformation begins within before it is seen without. Stay faithful to the vision you have accepted. Continue thinking, feeling, and living from the state of abundance. Even when your senses have not yet caught up, trust that every unseen movement is working in your favor. Every closed door is making room for a better one to open. Every delay is preparing you for something greater than you imagined. Life is constantly responding to the person you choose to be. Leave the old identity behind with confidence. Walk forward with certainty. Expect blessings instead of obstacles. Expect opportunities instead of limitations. Expect abundance because abundance is no longer something you are trying to reach. It is the state you have chosen to become. Your old life is over. Your new reality has already begun. Step into it with unwavering faith and let the world reflect the greatness that now lives within you. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this powerful moment with us. If this message inspired you, don't let it remain just another video you've watched. Carry it with you throughout your day. Let these ideas shape your thoughts, your expectations, and the way you see yourself. Real transformation begins when you consistently live from the truth you've accepted within. If you found value in this message, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss future content created to help you strengthen your mindset and step into the life you truly desire. Feel free to share this message with someone who may need encouragement today. You never know how one idea can completely transform another person's life. Thank you once again for being here. Until next time, continue choosing abundance, continue believing in your limitless potential, and remember, every new day is another opportunity to become the person you were always meant to be.